June 10, 1944, 2:41 hours. Near Caen, Normandy, France. The sky is low and dirty with smoke. Rain taps against steel helmets. Mud sucks at boots. In a shattered farmhouse outside Caen, a single oil lamp trembles on a wooden table, its flame fighting the cold night air. Inside, German officers sit in silence. Maps are spread across the table, red and blue arrows clawing across Normandy. Coffee goes untouched. Cigarette smoke coils toward cracked beams overhead. Outside, Allied artillery mutters like a distant storm. Inside, General Lieutenant Fritz Bayerlein, former Chief of Staff to Erwin Rommel, leans forward and presses two fingers against the map. "They are not amateurs," he says quietly. No speeches. No propaganda. Just truth spoken between men who know they're being hunted. You can almost feel the weight in the room, the realization that the war has changed. The enemy that stormed the beaches isn't clumsy. It isn't slow. It isn't lucky. It is deliberate. And for the first time, German generals are no longer asking, "Can we stop them?" They're asking something far more dangerous. Which of their commanders do we fear most? At this moment in history, the Allies are supposed to be predictable. That's what Berlin believed. American generals would be sloppy. British generals cautious. Coalition command disorganized. That was the theory. But Normandy shatters it. Panzer units that once crushed Poland and France now struggle against a new kind of warfare, air superiority, relentless logistics, and commanders who refuse to fight the way Germany expects. And behind German lines, in bunkers, field headquarters, and prisoner interrogations, something strange begins to happen. German generals start ranking their enemies, not publicly, not politically, privately. Who is dangerous? Who is slow? Who is brilliant? Who is bluffing? The enemy isn't a flag anymore. It's men. Near Caen, Rommel's headquarters hums with tension. Field Marshal Erwin Rommel, the Desert Fox, stands by a window cracked by bombing. Dust falls with every distant explosion. He studies Allied movements through binoculars, jaw clenched. Rommel doesn't hate Allied commanders. He measures them. He keeps notes. And his opinions will shape German strategy more than Hitler ever understands. Rommel tells his staff something chilling. The Americans move like businessmen, slowly at first, then without mercy. That's not insult, that's recognition. The German High Command had once believed Americans were soft, wealthy, inexperienced, dependent on machines. Rommel sees something else. He sees patience, and patience wins wars. Captured German officers are brought in daily. Tank commanders, regimental leaders, intelligence men. They arrive soaked, exhausted, angry. And interrogators notice something unexpected. They talk, not just about battles, but about personalities. One Wehrmacht major, captured near Corentin, is asked which Allied general scares him most. He pauses, then says a name that surprises the room. Patton. The Americans haven't even unleashed him fully in Normandy yet. But German intelligence already knows his reputation from North Africa and Sicily. Speed, aggression, relentless pursuit. The major explains it simply, others fight the front. Patton hunts the retreat. That sentence spreads quietly through German reports. Patton doesn't just break lines. He breaks confidence. But not every Allied commander earns respect. Some earn frustration. Some earn mockery. German generals are ruthless judges. In private notes, several officers complain about British hesitation, long planning, slow exploitation, too much caution after success. They admire British discipline, but they dislike British patience. One German staff officer writes bitterly, "They win carefully when they could win completely. To Germans raised on blitzkrieg, hesitation looks like weakness, even when it isn't, and that misunderstanding will cost lives on both sides." Yet above all Allied commanders, one man becomes Germany's obsession. Not Patton, not Montgomery, but Eisenhower. And not because of battlefield genius, because of control. Dwight D. Eisenhower isn't feared for tactics. He's feared for coordination. German generals realize something unsettling. Eisenhower turns chaos into machinery, air, sea, armor, infantry, logistics, all moving together like parts of a single creature. One captured colonel explains it in Interrogation. Your generals fight battles. Eisenhower fights the war. That idea terrifies the German command. Because wars are not won by heroes. They're won by systems. And Eisenhower is building one Germany cannot stop. Back near Cannes, artillery flashes in the distance. Rommel closes his notebook. He's writing down names now. Montgomery, careful, methodical, slow to gamble. Patton, explosive, dangerous, unpredictable. Bradley, quiet, underestimated, precise. Eisenhower, invisible hand behind everything. Rommel understands something Hitler never will. The Allies aren't strong because of numbers. They're strong because of leadership chemistry. Different minds, one purpose. German command has brilliance, but no unity. And unity beats genius when pressure rises. Then comes the message. A radio crackles inside the farmhouse. An SS officer enters. General? American armor broke through near Tilly-sur-Seulles. Rommel stiffens. Another line gone. Another crack in Germany's shield. He looks back at the map and then at his officers. The enemy is learning faster than Berlin, he says. Silence follows. Because learning faster than your opponent is how wars end. But German opinions are still forming. Normandy is only the beginning. Soon, Patton will erupt across France. Montgomery will grind through Europe. Bradley will surprise everyone. And German generals will finally decide something terrifying. Who is slow, who is smart, and who is absolutely unstoppable. And the ranking? It's nothing like history books expect. Because the commander German generals feared most wasn't always the loudest, wasn't always the famous one. It was the one they couldn't predict. And that realization is about to rewrite the battlefield. The morning fog smells like gasoline and crushed wheat. Engines rumble in low gear. Tank barrels cut through mist like steel spears. American columns stretch for miles, their tracks grinding the Norman countryside into something unrecognizable. At the front of it all, Third Army is waking up. George S. Patton has been unleashed. You can almost feel the shift. The air itself seems faster. Where other advances crept, this one lunges. Patton stands in his open jeep, ivory-handled pistols at his hips, scarf snapping in the wind. He doesn't look at maps much now. He looks forward, always forward. Behind him, radios chatter. Bridges seized, resistance broken, German units scattering like glass under a hammer. Inside German headquarters near Le Mans, panic replaces calculation. Maps are redrawn hourly. And suddenly, German generals stop asking where the enemy is. They ask who is leading them. General der Panzertruppe Heinrich von Luttwitz studies aerial photos with shaking hands. He's fought the British. He's fought the Americans. But this feels different. Patton's style isn't containment. It's suffocation. German defensive doctrine relies on fixed lines, calculated retreats, orderly withdrawals. Patton destroys that rhythm. He doesn't give Germans time to reset. He doesn't let them breathe. He chases broken units with fresh ones. One German officer later writes, Patton did not defeat divisions. He dissolved them. That line becomes legend inside German after-action reports. Because dissolving means something special in war. It means the enemy stops being an army and becomes refugees with rifles. Captured German tank commander Oberstleutnant Karl Müller is interrogated near Rennes. He's muddy, exhausted, eyes sunken. The American officer asks, "Which Allied general worries you most?" Muller doesn't hesitate. "Patton." "Why?" Muller exhales. "Because he does not fight where we prepare. He fights where we are weak. Before we know we are weak." That's the nightmare. Traditional war lets you plan. Patton doesn't allow planning. He punishes hesitation. And German generals feel it everywhere. Fuel depots destroyed before relocation. Bridges seized before demolition. Staff officers captured before issuing orders. Patton's war is movement warfare on steroids, and Germany's exhausted army can't keep up. But here's the irony. German generals don't admire Patton for bravery. They admire him for cruelty toward time. Patton treats hours like ammunition. He fires them. He burns them. He wastes none. Rommel once said speed replaces numbers. Patton turns speed into a weapon. In German reports, Patton's name gets underlined, circled, highlighted, not as a hero, as a problem. Inside OKW intelligence files, a summary appears in late August. General Patton conducts operations with extreme tempo, ignoring traditional pauses. He should be considered operationally dangerous. Dangerous, not reckless. Not lucky, dangerous. Because dangerous men force enemies to react instead of plan. And reactive armies lose wars. But German generals don't only judge Patton. They compare him. And when they compare him, Montgomery looks slow. Not incompetent, but predictable. Montgomery plans perfectly, but commits slowly. German officers respect Montgomery's discipline. But they don't fear him. They believe they can read him. He telegraphs intentions, builds pressure, then attacks. Safe, smart, but survivable. One German colonel writes after Elliman and Normandy, "Montgomery fights as if he has time." We do not. That's not insult. It's mismatch. Montgomery believes pressure wins. Patton believes panic wins, and panic spreads faster. Then there's Omar Bradley, the quiet one, the overlooked one. German generals initially underestimate him. No theatrics, no dramatic speeches, no reputation for madness. But Bradley surprises them. Bradley breaks through with organization, not personality. He dismantles German lines piece by piece. His strength is logistics discipline and steady momentum. One German intelligence report notes, "Bradley is not dangerous in appearance. He is dangerous in consistency." That's rare praise. Consistency kills more soldiers than brilliance, because brilliance is rare. Consistency is endless. But above all, German generals return to Eisenhower, the invisible commander, the man they never fight directly, yet always feel. One captured general explains it best. Patton strikes like lightning. Bradley presses like weather. Montgomery builds like stone. But Eisenhower is gravity. Gravity. It pulls everything toward it. Air power, naval gunfire, supplies, reinforcements, political pressure. German generals realize Eisenhower's power is not personal, it's structural. And structures survive chaos. Back in France, Patton races east. German units collapse behind him. Paris trembles. Supply lines stretch thin. And German command debates something unthinkable. Should they ignore Patton? Or sacrifice armies to slow him? Neither option feels safe. Because Patton isn't just moving troops, he's moving fear. Fear that spreads faster than radio waves. One German general says something chilling after capture. When Patton attacked, we did not ask how many tanks he had. We asked how many hours before he reached us. That's a different kind of warfare. Not force, not firepower, time, and Patton owns it. But as Patton surges, German generals notice something else. Speed creates gaps. Boldness invites mistakes. And even the most feared commander can be trapped if the enemy finally predicts him. And in the forests of Belgium, German generals are about to test Patton's limits because winter is coming, and Germany is preparing one last gamble. A gamble that will force Allied commanders into their greatest test and reveal, at last, who German generals truly fear most.